Hello, hello again, it's Cap from the Fire Tuna Club. It's time for another doll repaint. Surprise! It's not a Monster High doll. We are going to be working with the Shopkins today. As is anything I do, this doll has been rescued from LSN for like $4 a piece. So, time to get crackin'. We get started the same way we always do. Cut off the hair. With the added addition of cutting open the head to remove the last of the hair since the neck hole was too small. And then we acetone the factory face-up off. I just want to take a quick moment to apologize for all the obvious inconsistencies and time skips, as this doll was done in many short quick sittings with lots and lots and lots of drawing time between each sitting. So, yeah, if you didn't read the title or look at the thumbnail, just so you know, I am making Sapphire. She is 1 gem of a 2-gem fusion required to make Garnet from Steven Universe. If you haven't watched the show, you should give it a try, you might like it. I will admit, I am a fan, but not an avid fan. I do not watch the Steven bombs when they drop, so things have been spoiled for me. But I love the music and some of the characters in the show. So back to what I'm doing. I did several paint attempts on her head to try to get the right color, but there was a lot of body prepping involved on top of that. As I'm not a Shopkins fan, I'm gonna call this Pineapple Girl Molded Pineapple Nightmare. Anyway, using a nail file and a nail buffer, I decided to take off all the molded features. I did leave the shoulder pad things on to a point because they were gonna help support the puffs that I was gonna add to her dress later. I did eventually start whipping out the X-Acto knife to cut off all the ribbons and bows molded onto her. And as you can see here, I finally figured out my color and I brought it down to the body where all color would be visible. See, isn't this head awesome? It only took me 4 tries to get the blue right. What a cute nose you... Oh, crap. With a quick from an X-Acto knife and a file, we got the face how it's supposed to look. Now let's just get rid of that spot. 1 second. There we go. So let's go ahead and get started on that face up. The thing about Sapphire, she has 1 eye. It's a key feature that when you lift her hair, that's all you see. So I had to put all my effort into making her eye fantastic. A little trick I tried to do here to make her eye nice and even, since it was only 1 and I didn't have to mirror it, I kind of did a couple of key points on where I wanted the slope to be in several spots, and then drew a line to join all those points, and voila! Beautiful eye shape to work with. I checked often as I was adding features and placement of objects in the eye, like the eyelashes and where the actual eyeball would be, to keep it nice and even, because she didn't have a far off look, she wasn't looking in a different direction, she was a straight on smile looking right at you. It had to be as even as I could get it. As you can see, I put a lot of effort into putting as much detail and try to capture the emotion that I could of Sapphire in that eye. I wanted her to be in the middle, if not beginning the process of fusing with Ruby, so I wanted her to be full of happiness. Yes, Sapphire is an old doll, and it is currently 4/1/19, April Fool's Day. Fantastic. I still, to this day, do not like watercolor pencils only, so I do go back in with acrylic paint and whiten up the eye some. So I finished up the eye with a gem-shaped eye shine or 2. And a little bit of highlighting under the eye to make it pop some more. And then I seal it all in with some Liquitex gloss varnish. Returning to the body, I decided to start laying down colors and begin prepping her for her dress. This is one of the few times I actually don't have the dress removable. As small as the Shopkins are, all you need to make a dress for them is a little bit of bias tape and some paint. With a small square of bias tape cut out, I painted it to match and used glue to get it stuck onto the body and also to make sure it didn't unravel. Now, because all of this is being done in pieces, it won't actually look like it was properly seamed in place. So I use a little bit of thread to shape that piece of bias tape to the body, so when I add the skirt on, it looks like it's all sewn together. So now we just let it
dry.
To form sapphires to your skirt, I repeat this process for each tube of bias tape that's been painted 3 times. I'll measure it against the doll as it stands at that moment, cut off the excess, do a loose whip stitch across the top of the tube, place it on the doll, tighten it, make sure I have it where I want it. Then I proceed to stitch again, making sure that I tack all the ruffles in place where I want them. Don't worry about the thread being visible, this is dealt with in the last layer. If you do want to make a similar skirt like this one for another Shopkins doll, please remember, each progressive layer needs to be just a little bit bigger to get that full ruffled look. Increase it each time. I think I did about 1 inch extra each time. Alright, now for the last layer. Okay! Literally all you have to do for the last layer is lay down a nice layer of glue, put your skirt on upside down and inside out, and then sew it in place and flip it down. Ta-da! All the ugly bits have been hidden! You can even get fancy like I did for Sapphire and add a little apron-y bit. Yay for lost footage. We're doing the finishing touches now. I just want to stop and mention that apparently Shopkins, being so pure and small and adorable, are not to be messed with. They quickly go from pure condensed cuteness to unfiltered evil when you make them into a customized doll. There will be no hair footage because I could barely get it on with hot glue. I resorted to super glue in some cases. Some of the lost footage, now that I'm going back and thinking about it, it was because I could not I was raging against the camera for being in the way and for the dolls to be difficult, so after I show you how I made the sleeve puffs, the video will be nearly over. So continuing with the bias tape theme, you'll want to measure out more than you actually need so that you can pull it back for ruffling. Now, considering how small bias tape is on this scale, you're going to want to hand sew everything. So the first thing you do is fold it in half, sew the end shut. Don't worry about gluing the inside, you're going to need it loose because you're going to be taking 2 needle and thread combos to do a nice little gather stitch on the inside. And to hide your little knot at the end of your thread, you'll want to tuck it into the fold of the bias tape. If you're making this permanent like I am, go ahead and grab yourself some fast grab tacky glue. And you'll want to glue where you want your ruffles to stay permanently. Keep in mind that you do have to have a range of motion if you're using an articulated area. Now you don't have to glue both sides, but I did in my case. Again, with articulation, keep that in mind. If you're only gluing one side, you don't have to worry as much. Also, if you haven't worked with Shopkins before, you will have to heat up the head somehow to get it off, but putting it back on if you're gentle, and wiggle, 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 it'll go on. Honestly, I'd say this isn't too bad for my first Shopkins custom. I wasn't a fan of actually working with the Shopkins dolls, but if the situation arises to make, say, the other half of a garnet fusion, I would do it again. Or, you know, any other project that might come up that needs a Shopkins head. Yeah, there's gonna be 2 more videos. I can't promise when they'll happen, but I do already have the dolls, and they will be made at some point, so keep watching. And also, as always, Thank you for watching. If you like what you saw and you want to see more, leave a comment or click that subscribe button. If you want alerts about when I put new stuff up, click the bell button. If you want to do more to support me, head over to Patreon. FTC Patreons can get patterns, tips, exclusive content, early access, voting rights on what comes next, requests, and more when we climb milestones. I'm doing my best to give Patreons as many perks as possible because you guys are helping me out, making it possible to get more craft supplies to make more awesome dolls and more things. You better believe there are going to be some variations on videos coming up. It's not all dolls. Probably gonna be about 90% dolls, but still. So yes, I plan to do much more, and I hope you're here to see it.